Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So, Massive decides to ask a question on Reddit. There are six, if I'm not retarded, six questions then raised about loot. I'm gonna only answer mainly the first one here, and all of the other ones, I think I can answer once on a big way. And to be honest, fucking really being honest, the first one is the only one that I can answer with a joke. And all the other ones, I think I can compact itself on a simple but rather way. So, what is the first fucking question? Gear acquisition and loot 2.0. Endgame loot progression has been a topic within the community since War Tier 5 drop or open. Let me be very clear. I don't think it was since the War Tier 5 dropped. I really think it was the fact that we start to see this problem when the War Tier 5 dropped. First, because if I don't recall right, it was when we got title base, the title base, when we got the first gear set, then it was very underwhelming. On this update was when we really started getting to testing builds. And because we are starting to trying to reach somewhere, that was mainly why we start complaining there. But yeah, let's go for the rest of the thing. Division 2 has a very big loot pool. Gear mods, skill mods, brands, gear sets, weapon, exotic items. Getting the right item with the right talent and a good rolls can be challenged. No fucking shit, Sherlock. And I think they nailed the problem almost in the head with the very big loot pool. Let's start collecting ideas how to improve the general end-game loot progression. These are some of the questions that I would like to raise. Let me go for the first question because it's the only one that I really can do a joke answer, because all the other ones I kind of thought about and I maybe build a framework of a way, and I gotta give a major shout out to Epic Slayer because he was the one who like points me maybe to the right direction to this, not personally, but his idea was the fucking starting point to this. So yeah, how does the loot progression work for you in War Tier 5? Uh, Loot progression? Well, I would say it'd work if the loot progression did indeed exist. The only progression that I'm seeing on the W Tier 5 is the progression of a podcast, an audiobook, maybe my Spotify playlist. Hell, Two released their albums on iTunes and Spotify before I would be able to finish a build on the Division 2. So fuck you. There's no fucking progression. Now, all the other questions, I think I can answer those in one simple way. And let me give you to you all the questions. Second question is, how would you like to farm a specific items and brands? That's a great question. The fact that you want to try to narrow, it would be better. What would make heroic missions and really rewarding for you that you tackle this sort of challenge? This question always boggling me because of that. For you that you tackle. The answer is the reward pool is shit. Make a better reward pool, and we can start talking. How would you narrow down the loot pool that you would eventually get the item that you're looking for? That's a big question, and I'm gonna talk fully how I would do. Do you have good examples of how would you like to get the equipment for your character? Maybe even talk about other games. Major shout out, because if they are not like doing that for PR bullshit reasons, it's good they're looking into other games. Start looking on the failure for on Ant. It's a good starting point. How could existing content on of the Division 2 be used to have a target loot progression? And there where we fucking hit the nail. First, narrow down the loot pool. That is a very big thing. I will be upfront here and honest. I don't have the fuck of a clue how I would solve the gears things. Now, maybe, and that is an idea that Nerdslayer had and Epic Slayer, why I said Nerdslayer, I think I just mixed both, uh, gave, and I'm still on the fence of this because right about now, on the moment in like with what we have, I'm very okay with the skills. So he gave the idea that, for example, skill mods become like weapon mods, and they get rid of. They are out from the loot pool. You grab they, and you equip, and they scale with your skill power. I don't know if I'm happy with it, but in some ways, yeah, it would be good because it would take those things out of your loot pool. So maybe, or simply take those two out of the primary loot pool and create a secondary loot pool, and this loot pool be simply like X amount of enemies, like purple slash yellow enemies, or for example X plus I don't know how much, X plus Y for the, I think orange, not the yellow. The yellow are the name one. The orange-ish enemies, and like do that. The named enemies are guaranteed to drop one skill mod or gear mod. The orange-ish enemies that more beige yellow. I don't fucking know. The yellow enemies, the elite ones. They have a X amount of chance. Like after you kill X amount of day, you will get a skill mod or a brand mod or a gear mod. And on the purple enemies is after X plus Y, and I don't know, on the red enemies, I don't know, X plus Y times 2. And the X, and I hope it's not too big, because it does, to keep a bigger flow of you getting those, and wow, would be good. And that would already take those things out of the primary loot pool and would alleviate a little bit. Because right now, I'm gonna do a stupid analogy of the loot pool. The loot pool, in my opinion, is you, the player, going in a ball pit. Not a Dashcon ball pit, a real ball pit. A really big one. And you have to take 7 balls, and you cannot like just keep throwing balls out of the thing. You have to grab the balls and get out of the ball pit to look at them. Damn it. It didn't work that way that I want, but keep going with it. You have to manually grab and get out of the ball pit to look it. And time to time there is an asshole who come and throw more balls in the fucking ball pit and shake the whole thing to fuck you over. And on top of that, you're blind. You're blindfolded. So you can only take the blindfold when you get out of the ball pit. So it's a stupid analogy, but it's kind of the feeling that I have on that. So, how I would solve that? We already alleviate a little bit in my, like, if I was the guy who were creating TU6, stupid ways to solve loot, that would be the way that I would name the fucking thing. That was the first. find a way to to take out the skill mod, the mods, both skill and gear mods, out of the primary loot pool. Create a secondary loot pool. There is a different chance for they to drop. So it would be a little bit. You would have more of those, but in the end, it wouldn't matter much because their stats are so like outrageous, better to shit, then doesn't matter that much. And in the end, since you cannot recalibrate those fucking things, it doesn't matter that much. Now, for the gear, the biggest fucking part. There's two main ways that I would do that, and it would be up for test. Because the problem is, you kind of have a lot of things than you're looking for. You have the weapon that you look for, and the weapon go for many categories. Rifle, marksman rifle, assault rifle, submachine gun, LMGs, sidearms, and all of that. Maybe you can literally copy and paste the way that I'm doing here and it would work, but I am talking primarily about the gear. So maybe there is a way to you simply copy and paste that to the weapons and it still works. How I would do is maybe on a Ubisoft cycling or simply a player choice. Let's go as a player choice, just for the concept of this idea. Let's say each day or each like 1 day and 12 hours, you're able to select two activities, being two missions or one mission in one dark zone section or two dark zone sessions, something like that. And you select, and then you select for a scavenger mission. You go select two activities. I would say then you could not do for raids, or there is, for example, some of the activities that you cannot do this, but maybe not. Again, PTR is there for doing that test. Those scavenging missions, on when you select a piece of equipment. Remember, I'm mostly talking about gear. So, for the sake of this argument, let's talk about glove. You select gloves. You go and select gloves, and for now on, during the entire period of this scavenging section, like I said, from the period of 1 day or 1 day and 12 hours, 50% of your item dropped on those missions, those activities, however you select those, will be gloves. 50, 60%, let's do a 60-40. So 40% of the chance to drop any other fucking thing, being all the other gears, backpack, chest piece, knee pads, and mask. But you have a 60% chance to drop a glove. In theory, you will start to see more gloves. That's point. Okay, that's great. Now, you can sacrifice. Sacrifice is a great word, but you can deconstruct a brand item, and that's where I don't know how it would make this work in balance. I maybe work on two ways. The first one is a set balance. What I mean by a set balance is you can do that and will run during the same amount of time. For example, you run during, if let's say it is 1 day, just for sake of argument, you deconstruct a overlord item on the same example. So you and the amount of items may be changed. I would say, for example, you had to deconstruct from 2 to 4. For the sake of argument, let's go with 3. You deconstruct 3 of those, and from your overall loot pool, you have this, let's say, a 25% chance of the drops that can be from that brand set will be from that brand set. So each time you drop a glove, 25%, there is a chance of 25%, then that glove will be the Overlord glove. And of course, if you drop a chest piece, there's 25%, then that chest piece will be from Overlord, and the same goes for the kneecap, the knee pads. So, in the end, what would it be? Being cycled daily by Ubisoft or an option that the player can do by time. You go there, select a type of gear, select one or two activities, and during that period of time you cannot change. That's a very important part. You cannot change what will. You will have this 60-40 chance drop of that specific type of item, and you can deconstruct brand set items to do. Another way that I could see this being worked is simply, for example, you can deconstruct one item to get a 5% chance bonus on the drop, on the brand drop, but it is a limited one. For example, 1 hour, and during this 1 hour you're gonna have a 5% chance. Now, I would still cap those on like a maximum of 35, because you would be like throwing a lot of items down the drain to get the item that you want. And even so, after you complete the gear, like you get close to God roll, maybe you would want to keep farming during that event, quote unquote event, simply because, well, it's not a bad idea to get more of the brand, since you can utilize the brand to get more of the item for when you're gonna farm the vest, when you're gonna find the kneecap, the knee pads. So still give you a reason to keep farming and keep deconstruct those items for this scavenging mission, that is. Now, this alone I don't think will work flawless, and again I think that should create an aspect of divide the loot pool once more, and for example place the weapons, like again divide the loot pool on a weapons base too. So you could try to do the same thing on weapons. For example, instead of the vest mask, you would do sidearm mask, sidearm shotgun, submachine gun. You could do the same, and maybe that would be even one thing. For example, you would want to do one. If you do two activities, you choose one for be your gear activity for the day, and one for your weapon activity for the day. So you would have an easier time to get the weapon and the gear than you want. You not would hell give the top easiest time. You would still be blasted by the RNG or not, but yeah, it would be a little bit easier. You were having the capability to narrow down. In some way, for example, what I'm saying is for example, in the weapon case, you do the same. You can choose a submachine gun, and if you want a 9mm vector, you can literally throw a 9mm vector there and see if you get it. To up the 5% or the 25% chance, depending on how you implement. If you implement the hourly base bonus or the real bonus, you still are encouraging the farm, because, well, if you get a 9 vector that does have shitty talent, well, it sucks, but I can throw that thing away so I can farm to get a better with the right talent. Now, this alone, I don't think it would solve the problem. It is a good way to solve the problem, but it's a start only. The second thing is gear score. First things, to talk about gear score, we need to talk about how stats rolls on the gear. When we have a chess piece, for example, you have, for example, 3 stat rolls, and you have the armor roll. How, if your stat rolls is very good, you can 100% sure believe then your armor roll will be shitty. The reason why is because armor works in the same stat pool than your stat rolls. So how better is one, all the others will be worst. What I would do is create gear score brackets and place for the weapons the damage on gear score tied to those brackets, and for the armor the same thing. Going for just for shits and giggles here, and that would allow they to literally raise the gear score if they want. Let's say they have brackets from 500 gear score into 504, and the best damage roll that a 504 can get, it's gonna be the lower score than a 505 gear score can have. And those brackets gonna be kept going from that. So they can keep increasing slower and with just marginally a little bit, but they can. And just by taking the armor and damage, for the weapon is not much, but take from the armor, the gear, it's highly important. Taking this out of the loot pool, the stat pool, is already gonna be a lifesaver. But again, it's not the only thing. Now, the second part is the more easy one. Allow us to change two things, one talent and one stat roll, always. There's not a reason. The only exception being Badger, then it tends to have 2 stat rolls, and allow us to simply change the stat roll, change 2 stat rolls. And now I'm gonna go for a part and I don't know if that would work. I don't know if this itself would make easy, like too much easy, but anyone can justify why it should be a bad idea. Now, the first thing is allow you can cycle between the colors. But once you change, you cannot change that again. For example, you have a mask with uh, damage to elites and health. You don't want the health, you want skill power. You go change health for skill power, but for now on, you cannot change that thing for any other stat. You can only keep upgrading or recalibrating the skill power, like only up. You cannot even, for example, change that thing for a better, for skill haste. There is the other new stat. You can only change that from a better version of skill power. And now is the point when I'm really touchy about it, because I don't know if that would make too easy. But even if you, like, once you change the role, because that's the thing, allow you to change only one stat roll, but allow you to recalibrate both, but also respect the stat pool. Because right now we have like a stat point, then we can upgrade. For example, you can upgrade out of my ass here 10, like, into plus 10% of damage to elite on a mask. So, and that does count as X amount of points. You can see there is the bar on the recalibration. I'm going to be recording footage, and probably I will be showing footage of that if I'm not too retarded to not do. So if you see that, yeah, that's the thing. You still would be forced to respect that, but allow you to recalibrate both, but allow you to change one stat roll and one talent. Now, I think the least they should do is allow you to change one talent and one stat roll and get rid of the lock, like the you're not being able to cycle between the colors, because that is a little bit of a stupid thing. But I think the real question, and I don't know how it would work, is allow you to recalibrate both of those, and even if you had to respect the stat, like the stat limit, then you can up. I don't know if it would be too much easy to get, because in the end you would still need to farm for a better stat, a better item with that stat. So I don't know. Maybe will be too much easy, maybe it won't. So, overall conclusion, how I would solve things. Create that cycling, that scavenging missions, then allow you to choose a gear set, or for example, Ubisoft can cycling, allowing once per, like, during each day of the week, would be cycling between those gears, and each day would have a specific gear, and you can change the mission or and the activity. The set has a scavenger mission, allow you to burn the brain items that you have in your inventory to increase the chance to get a little bit of the brand than you want. Tie the damage for weapons and armor value and base armor value for your gear to the gear score, creating small brackets, and those brackets work in that way. Allow you to change one stat and one talent, two stats if you use a known talent gear set, brand set. And on the gear set, I'm going to tell they need to rework. On Twitter, one of the developers asked the question if they change the gear set to be 4 pieces, that only would work. I think no. What they should do, maybe, I don't know, is take those small bonus. For example, the True Patriot has a 20% of weapon damage, of armor damage, and they should create force that's to be a red stat roll, and divide that along of the set itself. So True Patriot is guaranteed, it's a 4-piece set, and it's guaranteed to, each part has a 4 chance of, has a 5% armor damage. And if I really would have to do that, I would be then 4 pieces, for example, out of my, not like thinking too much, be for example chest, backpack, knee pads, and holster be the ones who give this, while the hand and mask gives you, don't roll with that, but it does roll with a talent, and the talents would be specific for those sets. For example, the True Patriot, it is a DPS set. It always would roll with, for example, the damage, the weapon damage talent on the gloves, and something among those lines on the mask. Could it even be like the mask still do the armor damage, and the holster, I think, can get the weapon damage. That would be one of the ways that I would see. For example, I don't know, maybe that, create a stat roll, crucial stat roll, quote unquote, for the set, vary a little bit on where this is stat going to be distributed, transform those on 4-piece, and you may end up seeing people, and vary, because for example, one of the True Predator, as I said, it's vest, backpack, holster, and knee pads, while the, I don't know, the hardwire is mask, gloves, holster, and knee pads. So you can have a little bit of a mix match of the stats, of the sets, and kind of work a little. Maybe there will be fun, we don't fucking know. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna be it for this video. There is a second Megathread that I still don't have 100% sure if I'm gonna tackle. But yeah, the problems of the Division 2. Gear progression and loot 2.0. Let's hope then. If you have a better idea, type in the comments and I will be okay with it. And holy hell, this video has 30 minutes. It is really one of the problems of. I need to start thinking about those shorter videos. People don't have the I don't have the fucking attention span to watch a 30 minutes video. Well, I heard I tend to hear a 30-minute video when I'm grinding for loot on this fucking game. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. This was the video. If you enjoyed, leave it a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. If you have anything to say, please leave a comment. And if you want to see what the hell is gonna be coming next on this mess, subscribe. And see you guys on the next episode.